Nobody really saw this coming for the New York Knicks. With just one roster spot left to fill in free agency, a new name has suddenly emerged. Someone who hadn't been widely linked to the team until now. While speculation about familiar faces from recent years continued, and while chatter around other veterans hasn't completely faded, the focus has started to shift in a new and intriguing direction. On SportsCenter, the panel broke down all the moving parts, and it's worth going through exactly what they discussed. Even though it's mid-August and most of the major free agency dominoes have already fallen, the Knicks still have business to handle. They have 2 contracts left to distribute, one expected to go to a rookie minimum deal and another for the veteran minimum. While the rookie slot has gone quiet, all eyes are on the veteran opening, and that's where the buzz around Rui Hachimura comes in. Hachimura is attracting attention for good reason. The forward combines size, versatility, and a proven scoring touch. Traits the Knicks have been targeting to complement Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Julius Randle. At 6'8", he can play both forward spots, space the floor with his shooting, and defend multiple positions. The panel noted that Hachimura's ability to contribute immediately without needing a long adjustment period makes him particularly appealing for a team still looking to solidify depth heading into the regular season. The conversation also touched on Hachimura's recent track record. Last season, he averaged strong numbers, showcasing improved three-point shooting and reliable defense. His ability to fit in both small ball and traditional lineups adds real flexibility, especially with the Knicks' current rotation of Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and Ariel Hukporti. If Mike Brown chooses to stagger minutes between Towns and Robinson, Hachimura could step in seamlessly, providing scoring and spacing while keeping the lineup balanced. Another factor discussed on SportsCenter was the way Hachimura can alleviate pressure on the second unit. While the Knicks can experiment with small ball lineups or slide Gershon Yabusele to center in stretches, having a multi-position forward like Hachimura offers more stability, especially given Robinson's history with injury. In scenarios where Towns or Robinson need rest, or if the Knicks want to run a lineup with faster pace and better spacing, Hachimura's versatility could be invaluable. The panel also speculated on potential rotation. Hachimura could start at the 3 or come off the bench to give other players more breathing room. Ariel Hukporti, still young but showing promise, could take advantage of this flexibility, absorbing high-leverage minutes while learning from both Hachimura and the veteran. Yabusele might also slide to a small ball 5 in certain situations, creating multiple ways to attack opponents. The Knicks' roster construction and Mike Brown's rotation strategies give them a rare level of flexibility, and adding Hachimura would only enhance that. In Sacramento, deploying De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis as a starting 5 during their playoff run. The rotation usually had Dave Mitchell coming off the bench to relieve Fox or Monk, showing that Brown is comfortable leaning heavily into small ball at the start of games and for extended periods. The discussion also compared Towns' versatility to Sabonis' previous role with the Kings. Sabonis often played 5 while providing shooting and rim protection, but Towns offers even greater flexibility, capable of sliding between 4 and 5 seamlessly. This allows the Knicks to maintain spacing and defensive balance, something Brown has mastered from his time in Sacramento. Towns at 5 in certain lineups shouldn't be a surprise, especially if Brunson and McBride are in the backcourt, replicating a system Brown has seen succeed elsewhere. The panel then shifted to Rui Hachimura, a player who's increasingly capturing the Knicks' attention. Hachimura's ability to play both forward spots, shoot efficiently from mid-range and 3, and defend multiple positions gives New York an intriguing option to fill their final roster spot. Last season, he showed marked improvement in spacing the floor and contributing in transition, making him a versatile weapon on both ends. His size, combined with athleticism and defensive awareness, would allow Mike Brown to integrate him into different lineups without sacrificing tempo or spacing. Another factor discussed was Hachimura's potential role off the bench. While the Knicks could continue experimenting with Hukporti or Yabusele at the 4 or 5, Adding Hachimura provides a more polished, NBA-ready option in stretches where Towns or Robinson need rest, or if the Knicks want to run a lineup with more shooters around Brunson and Bridges, Hachimura could step in seamlessly, keeping the offense fluid while maintaining defensive integrity. The panel also highlighted Hachimura's playoff experience in high-pressure situations. Over his career, he's shown the ability to hit timely shots, contribute defensively, and make plays in transition. These attributes could translate well to the Knicks' rotation, providing depth, spacing, and positional flexibility, all qualities that make him an ideal candidate for a veteran minimum signing. Finally, the conversation circled back to New York's broader strategy. The Knicks have multiple paths to finalize their roster. They could trust younger pieces like Porti and Yabusele in creative lineups, or they could bring in Hachimura to provide scoring, versatility, and experience. This flexibility allows Mike Brown to experiment while maintaining consistency, ensuring the team can adapt to injuries, matchups, or small ball rotations throughout a long NBA season. Ultimately, Hachimura represents a unique blend of upside, skill, and readiness, a player who can immediately impact the rotation while also offering growth potential. For a team still searching for the final piece to complement Towns, Robinson, and the backcourt duo of Brunson and McBride, Hachimura checks a lot of boxes. And while nothing is official yet, his name being consistently linked to the Knicks suggests that the front office sees real value in what he could bring to New York's championship-contending Knicks. Much of what Hachimura can do on the floor. He can play both forward positions, slide into the small ball five in certain lineups, and even switch defensively onto bigger opponents if needed, giving Mike Brown multiple ways to configure rotation. His combination of size, skill, and versatility allows the Knicks to experiment with lineups without losing spacing or defensive balance. In many ways, adding Hachimura could address the same roster flexibility that the Knicks have been chasing with other targets, but with arguably more polished offensive tools. Unlike some of the other options under consideration, Hachimura brings a proven three-point shot, the ability to attack closeouts, and solid defensive instinct, making him a player who can contribute immediately in high-leverage situations. The strategic decision for New York seems to be clear. Prioritize a player who can impact multiple positions and provide consistent scoring, rather than a more limited rotational piece. The discussion then turned to alternative options, like Thomas Bryant or other backup bigs. Bryant offers interior scoring, rebounding, and rim protection, all valuable traits, but he doesn't offer the same floor spacing and versatility that Hachimura provides. While he could stabilize the bench and provide depth at the five, Hachimura's ability to play the 3 or 4 opens up far more creative lineup possibilities, something that Mike Brown clearly values, given his penchant for staggered minutes and small ball experimentation. Another key point highlighted by the panel was Hachimura's playoff experience and growth trajectory. Last season, he demonstrated improved decision-making, defensive awareness, and an ability to hit clutch shots, all qualities that could translate directly into the Knicks' rotation. His versatility would allow Brown to rotate lineups fluidly, pairing him with Towns, Robinson, and Brunson in various combinations, while keeping spacing intact and maximizing offensive efficiency. Ultimately, the question for Knicks fans becomes, should New York commit to adding Hachimura as their final veteran minimum signing, prioritizing a versatile forward who can contribute on both ends immediately? Or should they consider other, more traditional options like Bryant for depth at the 5? The consensus among analysts seemed to lean toward Hachimura, given his combination of size, skill, defensive IQ, and ability to fit seamlessly into multiple lineup configurations. As free agency continues, this decision could define the Knicks' flexibility and rotation for the upcoming season. A player like Hachimura not only fills a roster spot, but also provides strategic options for high-leverage moments, playoff rotations, and lineup experimentation. For fans, it's exciting to see a name like his suddenly linked to New York, a player who could immediately impact both ends of the floor and complement the Stars in a meaningful way. So, Knicks fans, what do you think? Should the team finalize the signing of Rui Hachimura, giving Mike Brown a versatile forward to anchor multiple rotations, or explore other options for the final roster spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on every Knicks move this offseason. Thanks for watching, and, as always, go Knicks! On ESPN's Sports Center this week, there was a segment that really caught Knicks fans off guard. For weeks, there had been a growing assumption about who would land the team's final rookie minimum contract. Multiple reports had fueled that belief, and it seemed like a done deal. But according to new insider information, the situation has shifted in a big way, and the spot may be going to someone very different than we all expected. The discussion opened by pointing out how, after Summer League, the picture looked pretty clear. The standout among the Knicks' young players, someone who hadn't seen much spotlight or consistent minutes, was rookie Kevin McCullough Jr., once projected as a first-round pick before suffering a knee injury. McCullough ended up being taken 56th overall by New York in the 2024 NBA Draft. He rehabbed, worked his way back, looked sharp in the G League, and then backed it all up with a strong showing in Summer League. All signs pointed to him being rewarded with that last roster spot. However, the Sports Center panel revealed that the reality is far more complicated. The Knicks have the budget for just one rookie minimum deal and one standard veteran's minimum contract. The common thinking was they would use the vet spot on a name like Ben Simmons or Landry Shamet, and the rookie slot on McCullough. But cap rules threw a wrench in that plan. Analyst Keith Smith explained the key detail. Because McCullough spent last season on a two-way contract, he now counts as a player with 1 year of service. That bumps his minimum salary to a little over $2 million, money the Knicks simply don't have available for that slot. And since the second-round pick exception can only be applied to a player's very first contract, McCullough isn't eligible. Without that exception, the team can't sign him to the deal they had in mind. That means New York will have to use the rookie minimum slot on someone who hasn't logged a single NBA game yet. Two names mentioned on SportsCenter as possibilities were Mohamed Diawara and James Nagy. Diawara, a versatile forward who can slide between the 3, 4, and even small ball 5, offers some flexibility. Nagy is a more traditional center, giving the Knicks extra size in the front court. It's a sharp turn from what most expected. McCullough is a multi-position defender who can handle the ball, knock down shots, and fit in several different lineups. Now, instead of getting a proven system fit, the Knicks might be rolling the dice on a player still entirely untested at the NBA level. McCullough's actual on-court sample with New York's main roster is tiny. Just 4 games, averaging 1.5 points and 2 rebounds, with shooting numbers that aren't worth overanalyzing given the limited minutes. But his G League performance was promising. 11.6 points, 5 boards, and 4 assists per game after returning from injury, plus multiple triple-double. The team was careful to manage his workload, easing him back into competition. Unfortunately, none of that changes the financial math, and the Knicks will have to look elsewhere for that final roster slot. And as we continue with what was reported earlier on SportsCenter, the situation surrounding Kevin McCullough Jr. has taken yet another turn, and unfortunately for him, it's a step in the opposite direction from where many thought he was heading. What had once seemed like a realistic path to securing that final rookie minimum roster spot with the Knicks now appears to be slipping away. Instead, every signal coming out of the organization suggests that McCullough is on track for a two-way contract, a move that will limit his guaranteed NBA exposure, but still keep him firmly in New York's developmental plan. It's not that McCullough didn't deliver when given the chance. In fact, the numbers speak for themselves. While healthy, he posted 21.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, hitting an outstanding 51% from the field. He showed poise, efficiency, and a knack for impacting games in multiple ways, but a facial injury halted that momentum. The Knicks, weighing the risk of further aggravating the injury against the potential reward of a few more summer league or preseason outings, opted to shut him down entirely. That decision mirrored the approach they took with Pacome Dadiet. another promising prospect dealing with a toe issue. In both cases, the front office made the calculation that the body of work already on film was enough to make an informed decision. There was no need to push either player into unnecessary minutes that could jeopardize their health. Instead, the message was clear. We've seen what you can do. Now it's about planning your future role in this organization. For McCullough, that future, at least for now, looks like it will be forged on a two-way deal, giving him opportunities to bounce between the NBA roster and the G League affiliate. While it's not the immediate full-time roster spot he may have envisioned, it does place him squarely in the Knicks' plan, with the potential to earn a more secure position if he continues to produce at the same high level he's shown in limited minutes. The difference is that McCullough is already 24 years old and seemed like he'd be ready to contribute in the short term. But now the plan has shifted, and this impacts more than just him. Among the potential candidates for that rookie spot, two names stand out: Mohamed Diawara and James Nagy. Diawara, in Summer League action, averaged 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists, plus a steal per game. He shot 40% from the field, but just 15% from three, showing flashes of promise but also plenty of raw edges, which the Knicks expected when they drafted him. Nagy's role was even more limited than last summer, down from about 17.5 minutes per game last year to fewer this time, finishing with 3 points and 4 rebounds per contest. He didn't miss a shot he took, was active on the offensive glass, and showcased solid rim protection. Both bring upside, and given the Knicks' need for depth in the front court, either could make sense. If, as it now appears, the team signs Diawara to the main roster, that would likely push Nagy onto a two-way deal alongside McCullough. That leaves one more two-way slot to be filled, and the name fans keep bringing up is Dink Pate. Pate is generating real excitement, a 6'2" point guard with athleticism, vision, and confidence. He's still raw, and the G League route hasn't been the smoothest for him, splitting time between the Ignite and the Capitanes in Mexico City. But he's viewed as a high-upside project. Juan Toscano Anderson, who played with him, even went on record saying he believes Pate can be a future star. Some fans are pushing for him to get that final full roster spot instead, but the consensus from those close to the situation is that a two-way deal makes more sense for now. That would give him time to develop without the pressure of immediate rotation minutes. Meanwhile, the veteran minimum spot is still open, with the Knicks weighing several options. The most discussed remain Landry Shamet and Ben Simmons, though there's room for a surprise name to emerge. The front office appears to be taking its time, evaluating both the rookie minimum decision and the two-way contracts in tandem with the veteran signing, knowing that each choice affects the rest. From the conversations taking place around the league, the prediction forming for New York's next moves is becoming clearer. The expectation among those following the situation closely is that Mohamed Diawara will ultimately be signed to that rookie minimum deal. After that, the Knicks are projected to place Kevin McCullough Jr. on a two-way contract, with the long-term plan of converting that into a multi-year arrangement during the season. The likely structure being discussed would guarantee the first year, while leaving the next two as non-guaranteed at team-friendly numbers. That approach would give New York a potentially valuable rotation piece on an extremely affordable deal, while also giving McCullough the opportunity to prove he belongs in the regular mix. Alongside McCullough, the front office is expected to use its remaining two-way slots on Dink Pate and James Nagy. Entering training camp, McCullough would be considered the most likely of the two-way players to get the first call-up into the rotation, unless, of course, Pate or Nagy makes such an impression that the coaching staff is forced to reconsider. It's a structure designed to keep flexibility while maximizing upside. Diawara gets a main roster role to develop with the team day to day. McCullough becomes a low-cost asset with a path toward more minutes, and Pate and Nagy remain in position to grow without the immediate pressure of contributing every night. While the plan could still change depending on training camp performances, the Knicks front office appears set on entering the season with this configuration. For a team balancing win-now expectations with a need to keep the talent pipeline flowing, it's a strategy that checks all the boxes. On First Take today, the discussion shifted back to the New York Knicks, a team that's been making all the right calls this offseason. And according to the latest chatter, they're getting ready to pull off another smart move. Word out of New York is that the Knicks are preparing to lock in rookie Mohamed Diawara to a new contract. It's another step in a summer where the front office has been calculated, patient, and very deliberate in how they've built the roster. Now, because so much of the conversation over the past few weeks has been focused on free agency and potential blockbuster trades, it's easy to forget there's still that second-round rookie exception available, and the Knicks have to use it. Initially, a lot of people around the league thought that spot would go to Kevin McCullough Jr., but as cap expert Keith Smith explained during the segment, that option isn't even on the table. McCullough, who spent last year on a two-way contract, now has a full year of NBA service time. That bumps his salary number slightly above the rookie scale and, more importantly, makes him ineligible for that second-round exception, which must go to a player signing his very first NBA deal. With McCullough officially out of the mix, the First Take panel agreed. The most obvious, and frankly, only candidate for that exception is Diawara. Unless the Knicks suddenly pivot in the trade market or change course on veteran signings, he's the guy. If New York does go ahead and sign Landry Shamet, as reports suggest, the numbers work out in a way that leaves just enough room for Diawara's rookie minimum deal to bring the roster to 14 players. Some fans have floated the idea of using that exception on James Naji, another player eligible for the rule. But the crew broke it down. That's not really a decision at all. Naji, taken 31st overall in the 2023 draft, showed flashes during Summer League with his incredible 7.5 wingspan, but he's extremely raw, fouled far too often, and didn't show consistent impact on the boards or the offensive end until one late game against Washington. He's also a pure center. And with Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and Ariel Hook-Porty already taking up the big man minutes, there's no real pathway for him in the current rotation. Diawara, on the other hand, fits perfectly into what the Knicks are building. This contract would let him split his time between the main roster and the G League affiliate, giving him valuable minutes in both settings. He's still a work in progress, raw skill set, needs polish, but the Knicks see him as a project worth investing in. That dual-level experience accelerates his development, sharpens his game, and keeps him ready for a bigger role down the line. The vision here is crystal clear. The Knicks want to mold Mohamed Diawara into that rare type of wing every contender covets. Long, athletic, switchable on defense, and able to impact the game on both ends without needing the ball in his hands every possession. The idea is for him to come off the bench and immediately tilt the floor in New York's favor, whether that's locking down an opposing scorer, sprinting the floor in transition, crashing the glass from the weak side, or stretching the defense with a timely corner three. And the beauty of it? If that plan works, the Knicks will have secured a high-upside, multi-tool contributor for the price of a late-round rookie contract. That's not just good roster building, that's championship-level asset management. You're talking about a player who could grow into a legitimate rotation staple, or even a starter down the line, while costing a fraction of what a proven veteran with the same skill set would demand on the open market. From a front office perspective, that's the holy grail, production that far exceeds the paycheck. It keeps your payroll flexible, gives you room to chase bigger moves, and creates a situation where you're getting maximum value at a minimum cost. And in Diawara's case, the upside isn't hypothetical. You can already see the flashes. You can see the length-bothering shooter. You can see the instincts when he rotates to block a shot at the rim. You can see the raw tools that, with the right coaching and experience, can turn into a complete modern NBA wing. Now imagine that growth happening inside Madison Square Garden, under the bright lights, in front of one of the most passionate fan bases in sports. Imagine the crowd erupting when Diawara locks up a star on one end and then sprints down to drain a three on the other. Imagine that energy feeding the rest of the team. That's what the Knicks are envisioning. Not just a good bench player, but a difference maker who shifts the momentum of game. And here's the real kicker. If he becomes that player, we might not just be talking about him as a solid pick. We could be talking about him as one of the Knicks' most important homegrown pieces in the next few years. A guy who was developed in-house, fits the culture, and helps define the team's identity. All of it, while keeping the salary sheet clean and the title window wide open. That's the kind of move that wins both in the present and in the future. On First Take, the conversation turned to what happens if Mohamed Diawara not only develops, but produces consistently. The point was made, if he reaches that level, that's when the money conversation becomes real. But in the immediate future, it's not about salary figures, it's about impact. If he delivers the kind of production the Knicks are hoping for, whether that happens in year 1 or by the end of year 2, this could go down as one of the most underrated draft pickups in franchise history. It's all in Diawara's hands now. His growth curve will tell the story. And based on what we saw in Summer League, the signs are encouraging. Every time he stepped on the floor, there was progress, something new in his game. One night, it was hitting threes. The next, it was swatting shots. And then another game, it was relentless. High motor defense from tip-off to the final buzzer. That's the versatility the Knicks see. He's young, he's coachable, and his defensive instincts are already NBA ready. Offensively, sure, he's still a project, but maybe not as long-term a project as initially thought. Some in the panel suggested he might not even need 3 years to be rotation ready. A year of development could put him in position to shine, especially if he builds on his momentum in next summer's league. It will depend on how he's guided, the minutes he gets, and how aggressively the Knicks push his growth plan. But the belief inside the building is clear. The Knicks think they have something real with Diawara, and honestly, I share that belief. I can't wait to see him in training camp, in preseason, and splitting time between Madison Square Garden and the G League. When you watch him, you see the tools, you see the upside, and you realize he might be ahead of schedule. The question is no longer if he'll get better, but how far he can go. His ceiling could be far higher than we think right now. Then, as the segment shifted, the panel brought up the latest from FanDuel, betting odds for which teams could win 55-plus games this upcoming season. According to those odds, Oklahoma City is almost a lock. Cleveland and Houston are right behind with strong chances, but the Knicks, they're sitting at plus 106, basically Vegas saying, maybe, but prove it. Behind them, Denver's at 118 and Orlando at 200. That's pure bulletin board material right there. The odds makers aren't just crunching numbers. They're basically looking the Knicks straight in the eye and saying, we don't believe you're built to win 55 games. That's a challenge, plain and simple. And if you've been paying attention to this front office under Leon Rose, you already know this is exactly the kind of fuel they feed on. Look at the track record. Every single time someone's doubted them, they've come back swinging. Remember when the talk around the league was that New York didn't have the assets, the leverage, or the relationships to pull off a blockbuster? That narrative didn't last long. Leon Rose went out and brought in OG Anunoby, a two-way wing every contender wanted. He didn't stop there. He doubled down, snagged Karl Anthony Towns, giving the Knicks a modern scoring big who can stretch the floor, and then went and added Mikal Bridges, one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. That's not just making a move. That's reshaping your roster with franchise-altering pieces. And then came free agency, where the so-called experts said, okay, they made their trades, but with that cap situation, there's no way they can add anyone meaningful. Once again, wrong. They signed Jordan Clarkson, a proven scorer and playmaker who can run a second unit or catch fire at any moment. They went overseas and brought in Gershon Yabusele, adding size, toughness, and experience. And even after all that, they still kept enough flexibility to bring in another veteran on a minimum deal, if the right fit pops up. This is a front office that has made a habit of defying the odds, literally. The more people say, you can't, the more determined they are to prove, we can, and we will. And that's why this latest disrespect from Vegas isn't a problem for the Knicks. It's a gift. It's motivation. It's something they can pin up in the locker room, point to before every game and say, "They don't think we're built for it. Let's go show them we are." Every single time the Knicks are told, "You can't," they respond with, "Watch us." That's been the story of this offseason. Calculated, aggressive, and relentlessly focused on upgrading the roster. And now, if Mohamed Diawara becomes the player they believe he can be, we might be looking back at this summer as the one that pushed the Knicks into true contention.